Cry me a river, I cried a river over
Hello everyone and welcome. I hope you're doing fine and well. Long time no see. I hope we can do it together today. I have 3 articles. The first one is very important. A simple 30 minutes daily routine may help slow cognitive decline by Karina Petrova from the SciPost. For our dear elderly people. Elder people? I don't know. Okay, let's go. A daily routine of reading out loud, writing by hand, and doing basic math might help older adults maintain their memory and thinking skills. A 12-week program consisting of these 3 specific exercises yielded measurable improvements in cognitive test scores among older adults who had noticed their memory slipping. My father has 78 years and he does some exercises daily and I can see him recovering from slight declines. The research was published in Educational Gerontology. As people age, they often experience reductions in memory, attention, and language skills. These changes can sometimes progress into mild cognitive impairment, a condition that sits midway between typical aging and dementia. Mild cognitive impairment. That's the middle place between typical aging and dementia. Mild cognitive impairment does not always prevent a person from going about their daily life or caring for themselves. However, it does increase the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia later on. Without pharmaceutical cures for dementia, researchers are looking for alternative ways to protect brain health. One prominent idea is cognitive reserve theory, which suggests that keeping the brain mentally active builds up a buffer against age-related damage. Engaging in stimulating tasks promotes neural plasticity, meaning the brain continues to form and reorganize functional connections. The only muscle that, if you don't use it, doesn't atrophiate is the eardrum. The only one. Other muscles, if you don't use it, they atrophiate. It's that a word? In Spanish is atrofiar. So I'm guessing it's atrophiate, but I'm not sure. That is when it degrades, okay? Let's continue. Many brain training games focus on just one skill, like recalling a list of words or matching shapes. Recent studies suggest that programs combining several different types of tasks might offer greater benefits. Yeah, shocker. By engaging multiple networks in the brain simultaneously, multimodal routines mimic the natural demands of daily life. Beautiful. Emily S. Ihara, a social work researcher at George Mason University, led a team to investigate a specific multimodal routine called the Stronger Memory Program. The program is designed to stimulate the prefrontal cortex, a region just behind the forehead that is responsible for retrieving memories, maintaining attention, and solving problems. Also controlling impulses or regulating it. The researchers recruited older adults from 25 aging-in-place villages and 3 continuing care retirement communities. Aging-in-place villages are local networks that help older adults live independently in their own homes. Cool. While continuing care retirement communities provide a tiered approach to housing and care in a single location, more similar to a hospital, I believe. The final study included 102 participants aged 59 and older. All of the participants had self-reported concerns about their memory, but lacked a formal dementia diagnosis. Participants were instructed to spend 30 minutes a day on 3 specific activities. 10 minutes per activity, I guess? Yes. They read out loud for 10 minutes, wrote by hand for 10 minutes, and completed simple math problems for 10 minutes. The participants chose their own reading materials and writing topics, which helped tailor their routine to personal interests. Beautiful. It's more or less what I do with my patients, the clinical psychology patients, even for anxiety. Reading out loud involves both visual and auditory sensory inputs, demanding more focus than silent reading. Yes, like I'm doing here, hoping to get better at English with you guys. Writing by hand helps practice fine motor skills and aids memory retention. Yes, the math problems were designed to be easy enough to avoid causing anxiety while still requiring focused attention and logical reasoning. Yes. The participants completed these exercises on their own schedules, but attended weekly group check-in meetings for support. To measure changes in brain health, the researchers tested the participants before and after the 12-week program. 12-week program. They used a well-established cognitive screening tool called the Mini Montreal Cognitive Assessment. Mini Montreal? Which tests memory recall, verbal fluency, and spatial orientation. Spatial. I'm not sure how to pronunciate that word, I'm sorry. The researchers also gave participants a questionnaire asking how they perceive their own memory compared to a year prior. Following the 12-week program, the participants scored higher on the objective cognitive test. The average score increased from 12.73 to 13.26 out of 15 possible points. Okay. The improvement was driven almost entirely by the memory recall portion of the test. Memory recall portion of the test. Participants also reported feeling better about their memory on the subjective questionnaire. For sure. The researchers then conducted a secondary analysis to see if the participants' living situations affected their results. They grouped the participants into 3 categories based on whether they lived alone in their own homes, with others in a community, or in the continuing care retirement communities. The researchers statistically adjusted the scores to account for any baseline differences between the groups at the start of the study. People living independently in the community, either alone or with others, scored higher after their intervention than those living in the retirement communities. They improved more than others, I guess. The researchers suggested that structured retirement facilities might inadvertently limit independent problem solving or physical activity. Yes, that makes sense. The more comfortable we are, the less challenges we have to activate our body and our mind to solve. Independent living environments may require more daily decision making, which could amplify the benefits of the brain exercises. The study relied on a quasi-experimental design without a control group. Yes, that's the only way. We cannot have people measuring people and not trying to help them. It's not ethical or moral. Because all participants received the intervention, it is impossible to rule out placebo effects. Yes. The improvements could have resulted from the social interactions during the weekly check-ins or the attention provided by the researchers, rather than the specific brain exercises. Future research will need to include an active control group that does a different activity, like relaxation exercise, to isolate the exact cause of the improvements. Yeah, I remember I used the same design to my thesis, for my thesis, because I couldn't have a control group. It wasn't possible. The increase in test scores was also relatively small, yes. A minor bump on a cognitive screening test does not automatically mean a person will experience noticeable improvements in their daily life. Managing finances, navigating a new neighborhood, or remembering appointments require a blend of cognitive skills that a brief memory test cannot fully capture. Despite these limitations, the routine offers a highly accessible and low-cost option for older adults looking to build cognitive resilience. Since participants can choose their own books and writing topics, the routine is easy to personalize and maintain over time. Variety is very important as well. You can do some things Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and other things or routines in Tuesday and Thursdays, for example. Or for seasons. Researchers hope to explore how different levels of difficulty within the exercises might push the brain to adapt even further. These findings offer a foundation for future inquiries into non-pharmaceutical cognitive therapies. The study can brain exercises mitigate cognitive decline? A quasi-experimental evaluation of the Stronger Memory program was authored by Emily S. Ihara, Hyun Kang, Catherine J. Tompkins, Francesca A. Kesey, Mackenzie S. Lauber, Jordana N. Hardy, Catherine M. McGee, Kendall Barrett, Madeleine Holden, and Harvin Pantlier. Pantlier? Yes, very simple, very powerful. I can tell by experience is more powerful than this number. For sure. So let's go to the next article. That seems funny or interesting. Horror soundtracks can make friendly smiles feel eerie and threatening, study finds by Eric W. Dolan from the SciPost. A new study published in the Quarterly Journal of Experimental Psychology suggests that scary music can subtly alter how people interpret human facial expressions, or facial expressions, making even smiley faces seem somewhat threatening. I need to change the music. I'm sorry. We're talking about music. Let me put some scary music. By measuring both subjective ratings and involuntary eye responses, scientists observed that ominous soundtracks biased participants toward perceiving greater danger in human faces. These findings demonstrate how background auditory cues might unconsciously shape everyday social evaluations and media interpretation. I'm thinking about the 2 or 3 TikTok musics always used to conspiracy theories and some strange things to amplify the madness. Human interaction relies heavily on reading facial expressions to evaluate whether someone poses a threat or offers safety. Background sounds often establish an emotional context that influences how subsequent information is processed. Or processed. I don't know, I'm sorry. A phenomenon known as affective priming, when an initial stimulus carries a strong emotional tone. It tends to frame how a person interprets visual cues that follow shortly after. Horror film soundtracks are constructed to evoke anxiety through rapid volume changes, jarring pitches, and acoustic patterns that mimic human cries. These fear-inducing sounds tend to trigger subcortical brain regions that monitor the environment for danger. Again, these fear-inducing sounds tend to trigger subcortical brain regions that monitor the environment for danger. Trigger subcortical brain regions. The authors conducted this research to explore whether auditory fear cues alter subjective perception of social threat, and whether these changes are accompanied by physiological markers of arousal. Shumetha Sidhu, a lecturer in psychology and director of postgraduate research studies at the University of Riyadh in Malaysia, explained what led her team to pursue this topic. It has always been fascinating to me how preconceived notions or other cognitive factors can influence perception. And this study came about because my students were interested in emotional face perception research too. Sidhu told SciPost. A bit of literature reviewing showed this was an underexplored area, and we decided to run with it, using the angle of threat perception, as it seems highly relevant to a lot of people. To test this possibility, the researchers recruited 45 university students in Malaysia, aged 18 to 25, with an average age of approximately 21 years. The participant group was predominantly female, including 44 females and 3 males. 3 males? Why? Why only women or almost all women? With a multi-ethnic background comprising Chinese, Malay, Indian, and other ethnicities. Participants sat 60 centimeters away from an eye-tracking screen while wearing over-ear headphones fixed at a set volume. The study used a within subjects experiment experienced all combinations of sound and facial expressions. All combinations. The researchers controlled for environmental influences by maintaining constant overhead lighting and using a fixed monitor display. In each trial, participants listened to a 15-second audio clip, followed immediately by a photograph of a face displayed for 1 second. 50 seconds of audio clip and then 1 second of face. The auditory clips feature either a fear-inducing track from the film Insidious or neutral white noise as a control baseline. Yeah. The visual stimuli consisted of 90 photographs depicting young adult Chinese models showing angry, neutral, or happy expressions. Participants completed 90 randomized trials in total, split across 3 separate testing blocks to minimize fatigue. After viewing each face, participants rated how threatening the image appeared, on a continuous scale from 0, indicating not at all threatening, to 100, indicating extremely threatening. To hide the true intent of the experiment, participants also rated how exciting and relaxing the faces appeared. Very clever. Physiological response was measured using pupillometry, a technique that tracks changes in pupil diameter to index autonomic nervous system activity and heightened attention. I'm gonna read that again. Physiological response was measured using pupillometry, a technique that tracks changes in pupil diameter to index autonomic nervous system activity and heightened attention. Wow, that was hard to read. I need water. Let's continue. For the threat rating analysis, data from 3 participants were excluded as statistical outliers leaving a sample of 42 individuals. Exposure to scary music led to a notable overall shift in perceived threat across all facial expressions. All. The average threat rating across all faces types rose from 18.9 points out of 100 during white noise to 41.65 points during scary music. That's a lot. More than double. Representing an absolute increase of 22.75 points. And more than doubling the baseline score, yes. Angry faces received the highest threat scores in both conditions, moving from 34.9 points under white noise to 52 points under scary music. Neutral faces saw an increase from a baseline of 14 with white noise up to 40 or 39 points with scary music. Wow! Triple. No, almost triple. Happy faces, which average a low threat rating of 7.58, following with white noise, rose to 32 points when paired with scary music. Wow, that's more than 4 times. The reaction to Smiling Face proved particularly unexpected for the research team. We didn't expect that fear-inducing music would increase threat perception towards happy faces, Sidhu noted. During the neutral white noise condition, a distinct hierarchy emerged where angry faces were judged as most threatening, followed by neutral faces, and finally happy faces. When scary music was played, angry faces remained the highest in threat, but the difference between neutral faces and happy faces was no longer statistically significant. Interesting. This outcome suggests that fear-inducing audio may blur the boundary between emotionally neutral signals and friendly expressions. Can turn a friendly expression be perceived as an emotional threat or something like that. Pupillometry data were analyzed for all 45 participants, as no outliers were present in the eye tracking measurements. The main difference in average pupil diameter between the scary music condition, 2.9 millimeters, and the white noise condition, 2.94 millimeters, and the white noise condition, 2.93 millimeters, was not statistically significant. Oh, this indicates that scary music did not produce a widespread uniform enlargement of pupil size across all facial expressions. Wow! The scientists observed a specific interaction between music type and facial expressions regarding pupil size. When participants viewed neutral faces after listening to scary music, their average pupil diameter expanded to 2.94 millimeters compared to 2.91 millimeters after white noise. That's more than before. In contrast, pupil size changes for angry faces, 2.95 millimeters under both sounds. Okay, no change. And happy faces, 2.93 millimeters with white noise versus 2.92 millimeters with scary music, the smallest difference of all, were not statistically significant across sound conditions. I hope I'm making myself not unbearable to listen to. Let's go! Regarding the broader message of these outcomes, Sidhu emphasized how external environments shape social processing. The primary takeaway, she explained, is that fear-inducing music can influence perception of not just negative and neutral emotions, but also positive ones, happy faces. It highlights the importance of contextual cues when processing information so as not to be easily biased. The findings do not suggest that scary music induces full-blown panic or causes people to view ordinary faces as severe physical threats. That threat ratings for smiling face paired with scary music average approximately 32 on a 100-point scale. So it's not that the problem, indicating mild unease or ambiguity rather than extreme terror. The auditory priming effect appears to introduce a subtle interpretative bias rather than a total distortion of reality. That's more dangerous, I think. The authors also pointed out that readers should consider the specific demographics of a study when evaluating the results. Yes, this one was almost all women, right? We have a predominantly female sample, so I will not generalize these findings, Sidhu stated. Likewise, we used a Southeast Asian sample, so no guarantee that it generalized to other demographics. Moving forward, the research. Uh-oh. Hello? Hello? I'm back? Okay, I'm sorry. There was a technical difficulty. I'm gonna finish this one and I'm gonna say goodbye because I'm not listening to my music anymore. I hope you do. Moving forward, the research team aims to explore why positive expressions become eerie under scary audio conditions. The unexpected finding we had was that people perceived happy faces as more threatening when exposed to their fear-inducing music. Sidhu said, one interpretation for this could be that a smile coupled with that type of soundtrack was conveying sinister intent. We plan on investigating this a bit further down the line. Okay. Yes, the Joker, right? The Joker is the example. The evil one can smile too. Terrorific smile. Okay, I'm sorry for the difficulties. Thank you very much for being here. See you the next one. Goodbye.